Hey everyone, I'm Shar and welcome back. I am also back after a quite a long break from regular updates to this channel. I am planning some things for the channel. I am planning some things for my art career. I am hoping that they will be successful. Fingers crossed on that front. I thought that today would be a good day to talk about all the kind of stuff that happened last week, both on a personal level and a national level. As you're aware, I'm sure, there was a shooting in Atlanta and 8 people lost their lives and 6 of them were Asian women. And I support Stopping Asian Hate. This is a channel that is inclusive and celebrates diversity, and hopefully you feel the same way. I'm not really feeling like that's something up for debate. So yeah. That said, on a personal level, I had an interesting week without having done anything outside of the normal for myself. I experienced a gas leak, I experienced a tornado, and I experienced a possible COVID exposure, all within 3 days, from Wednesday to Friday. That was my week. And I am actually sitting here in quarantine waiting on the results for my second COVID test because I took my first one too early. So I was negative on the first one, so I expect the same for the second one, but it's been a lot. I don't have anyone with me during quarantine, so it's been kind of a lot. I'm someone who pays attention to what's going on, and when there's been like national tragedies like this over the past year, it's been really difficult to deal with without having much in the way of people to talk to about it and stuff. So I imagine a lot of people can relate to that. So I thought today would just be kind of one of those things where I talk about dealing with difficulty, especially unexpected difficulty, because that seems to be the specialty of my life. And funny, not so funny enough, that is actually one of the major themes that goes along in my comic. And one of the things I want to explore more in the comic. It's a comic about basically a past life of mine and the troop of animals that I meet along the way, and basically how it works for my experience that I've noticed is that I kind of have what I've deemed to call the best worst case scenario luck, where in each one of these scenarios, like, yeah, there was a gas leak, but it turned out to be not an internal gas leak, but something from the roof. So it wasn't leaking inside the building, it was being brought in through the ventilation system. And then with the tornado, it was a watch, rather. Watch is worse than warning, but it didn't actually come very close. And then with the COVID thing, I was not directly exposed to the person who had it, just potentially exposed by virtue of being in the vicinity. It's kind of like that for me. It's kind of been like that my whole life, and my comic explores where stuff is always happening to me. And I don't necessarily go out of my way to make it happen, other than just being there, and it just kind of happens anyway. And I actually do kind of go out of my way to make my life not have interesting things happen. It doesn't matter. Interesting things find me anyway. So it's been a lot, and dealing with things when you are going through a lot of it and having to be very self-reflective and trying to deal with it all on your own for the various reasons why you have to do that. It takes a lot out of you. It makes you pretty tired. So that said, here's my tips that I've come up with that have helped me over the past year and the past week. And I know I sound tired, but I'm actually doing pretty okay. For one, I'll say tip number one is to expect the unexpected. The more times things go wrong, the more times you just kind of expect them to go wrong. And while that does get super frustrating, at least it doesn't come as a surprise anymore. I'm never shocked by the things that happen to me anymore. And in a way, maybe that's a trauma coping mechanism. Maybe that's not a good thing. But for me, it helps me to be able to just deal with whatever's happening right in front of me as soon as it's happening. And I don't have to sit here and think, like, why me? I never have to think why me, because it's always something. So that said, just being able to expect what's going on to happen is like your first step to being able to then deal with what's happening. As far as how to deal with what's happening, we'll go to step number 2, and that is to, as fast as you can, as fast as humanly possible. I know there's a process to everything, and especially when grief is involved, you can't necessarily rush the process, but the faster you can get to the acceptance part of the situation and just accept it's happening, the kind of easier all the other things will be. All the other emotions will kind of revolve around the acceptance part. You're moving really past the denial part. In fact, that's kind of rolls into the step 1. But in my opinion, the faster you can move to acceptance, the faster you can then find a solution. And for me, planning and solutions and acceptance all kind of go hand in hand. The way I feel better after feeling bad is by having a plan on how to move forward. What doesn't make me feel better are people just patting me on the back and saying they're there. I would rather sit down and have like a session where we just hammer out a solid plan moving forward and some action steps that I can take, because I don't know about you, but it makes me feel better when I actually like have a plan. Just makes it all around a lot better of a thing to deal with, and to deal with all the different things that do happen. And then I'll say in the final thing, and the thing I've kind of revolved around today, and specifically just a little bit ago when I was working up a plan for myself for the foreseeable future in my art career, I realized I have been holding on to frustration and grief and letting the past, my own past, personally dictate how I view the future and how I experience the present. And in my opinion, I feel finally like I had to kind of tell myself, stop being so frustrated. For myself, it was just focused on like my art career. But for you, it could be something similar, it could be something completely different. But I will say, when coming to this conclusion and realizing that I had, and I've been saying this for years now, that I've needed to let go of the past, in the sense that all the years I've been trying to get to where I want to be, and trying to get there and trying to make it happen, and just being more and more and more frustrated that it hasn't happened yet for me. Holding on to that frustration isn't helping. It's not helping. I feel justified in it because it's happened to me and it's, still happening. So why shouldn't I feel frustrated? And it's not to say don't feel frustrated. It's just like, I just told myself, you gotta move past it. There's gotta be a point where you realize, like, it's gotta be fun again. Life has to be fun at some point, right? Like, there has to be something more than just, being mad and sad all the time. And I realize there's so much to unpack with what I'm saying, in the sense of like all the different ways that people experience all the different things that could be making them frustrated, and all the different scenarios, and I probably can't even think of all the scenarios off the top of my head that could apply to. But like I said, I can only speak from my experience. And in my experience, I've just kind of come to the point where I gotta make things fun again for myself. And in doing that, I'm hoping that I can still be informed. I don't want to be ignorant to the world and what's happening, and I don't want to pretend that bad things aren't happening. Like, that's not it either. That's not it. But what I do want to do is focus more on the things that bring me joy, and then sharing that with everyone else. And hopefully that can help spark some joy for someone else, and make the world just a little less shitty. And I'm just hoping that in doing this, it will actually help. So those are my 3 tips. I hope they help a little bit. I just wanted to share my current experiences with everyone and I want to keep trying. It's kind of another thing with my comic, another theme is to just keep trying. So that said, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here, welcome if you've never been here. And I appreciate you if you've listened this far, so thank you very much. If you want to say anything of mine, you can check it in the comments, but I'm also going to leave the petition and stuff for the victims of the tragedy this week, so if you want to check that out first, I'd appreciate that. Thanks so much, y'all, and have a good one.